Naam, bandidos, ¿cómo estamos? Welcome to Mel's Magic Official. I'm Magic Mel, and this is Charles, my guardian angel. Now we're going to continue talking about, yes, the theme of the spiritual warrior, because I did some more research. I'm going to take my notes. We listed a few of the characteristics and the virtues we'd like to cultivate, no? So I'll go over the list. Discipline was one, but discipline not from a space of self-beating or from a sense that something is missing in you and you need to prove through harsh discipline disguised as self-hatred to become better. It's discipline as devotion, discipline coming from self-love. And that discipline starts with which thoughts are we entertaining, no? And taking actions that are in the highest of our entire ecosystem. I like to talk about ecosystem because we have different psychological aspects, no? The inner child, the higher self, and all these voices in us. And we need to find a way to live with them, to grant them the mic, have them speak, but then decide from a higher perspective, which is the soul perspective, your higher consciousness. So discipline in our thoughts, in our words, in the way we conduct ourselves, in our daily habits. And I spoke with a friend about it yesterday. We are animals of habit, no? So it can be a little bit overwhelming if you radically want to change your life. It's like this huge mountain you want to climb. Why not stack habits or link habits, or just even start with one small step, Kaizen steps? Because if you look at your reality as a fabric, including your habits, a series of habits, if you change just one thread out of that fabric, it will change. It will impact the entire weaving, no? So, for example, how about starting with having one glass of water in the morning, or thinking about 5 things you can be grateful for, nourishing yourself in the morning. It's so personal, So starting with a tiny thing that you can keep up and that you can track and that can build momentum is the way to go. Because if we overwhelm ourselves, you might as well throw the towel, no? Because it just seems so monumental. So how can we cultivate habits that serve us? And how can we slightly shift our existing habits in a way that are nourishing for us? For example, I do sadhana. Sadhana is a daily spiritual practice. But I also let it go at times. But because I know I feel good at the end of it, I do go back to it. And there is a communal sadhana, a group sadhana that I was invited to, but I kept on putting it off. And then I thought after 2 weeks, oh my God, I did ask the certain person if I can join, and they gave me the information, but then I let it slide, and I thought I'll do it when I'm ready. And this morning I said, I am ready. I'm going to join. I asked again. And again, my mind was like, oh my God, if I ask again, maybe I'm being annoying. Those stories our mind likes to spin. It's all noise. It's all white noise. So having the discipline to also discern what mental stories are serving you, what are not, what mental stories are keeping you from taking action in your highest. That's part of that discipline, no? So I did the sadhana and I realized, hey, doing a certain practice in a group is very powerful. If you can have the discipline to do certain activities that benefit you on your own, great. But it's a different experience if you're doing it as a group, because you have the accountability and there's a different energy. You do develop group consciousness. So you feel that support from the group, even if it's subconscious. You allow yourself to immerse yourself in that energy, and it's a different feeling. So that was my discipline. It means getting up at like 5:30 in the morning. I'll see if I'll stick with it because it's 2 hours, this group sadhana. But at least I introduced it already, the experience, and I had the experience. So now I can choose consciously going forward, no? And letting go of the idea of perfect, just showing up is already great. Yeah? Perfection is, I mean, in an art form, I get it. We strive for a mastery of the certain art form so we can flow and express it freely. But perfection, I mean, does it really exist? Don't use it to beat yourself up. Okay? So that was discipline. Aggressiveness. And aggressiveness in the sense of taking action with a goal in mind, not being passive. And you know, it's a masculine trait, but I salute that because we can't be passive in this world. We are called to take aligned action that aligns with our values. Courage, etymologically, comes from cœur. So acting from the heart space. Acting from what our heart tells us that propels us forward. Our mind has a lot of stories. We can justify a lot of things with our mind. But our heart is a different intelligence. We like to think that we just have one brain, this one, but actually it's the mind, the heart, and the gut. Those are at least 3 brains we have. So tune in with the intelligence of your heart, tune in with the intelligence of your gut, and then take that information back up to your mind. Have them cooperate. We don't want just the monkey mind to steer our ship, because you know where that leads to, no? Overthinking, getting into a mental maze, and not really clarity. Clarity comes from a sensing of a truth that is deeper, an inner knowing. And to reach that, to discern that, to sense that, to know that, we need the heart's intelligence and we need the gut's intelligence. So courage is a big one, no? The courage to act, the courage to speak our truth. I can go on and on about courage, but let's go through the list. Confidence is another one. I like that one. Confidence etymologically means with acting with faith, fide, faith. No? So having confidence in yourself. It doesn't mean that you need to actually know about things, you know, the confidence to ask if you don't know something, but it means you have confidence that you can figure it out, that you're worthy. Okay? Sometimes we block ourselves because we think we're not skilled enough, or we don't know enough, or we're just not enough in whatever sense. And that's not confidence. No, confidence is like, hey, I'm going to show up. I'm worthy, and I'm going to learn it. I'm going to figure it out. For example, I'm practicing or learning, super beginning stages, a Filipino martial art called Kali. And, you know, as any beginner, I got to be humble. I don't know anything about it, but I have the confidence in myself, in my ability to learn it. Okay? So, spiritual warriors are confident, act in faith. Faith is a big one. Physically capable. I mean, we spoke about cultivating our vessel. Yes, the mind, body, spirit complex acts as one. That's not just spirituality telling you this, this is science. So the way we cultivate our vessel, our physical body, affects the mind. The way we cultivate our emotional body and treat our emotional body affects the physical body, and so on. So how can we cultivate the entire system? Yeah, exercise is important. How can we condition our body to be healthy, to be vigorous, to radiate vitality? Humility. Yes, we act in confidence, but we have the humility to say that we're always learning. We might have a certain knowledge, and again, you know, humility, not let it spiral down to self-diminishment, because we're always learning, no? But that doesn't mean that at this point in time, you are not already equipped or knowledgeable enough to impart your knowledge. For example, Mel's Magic Official, I'm sharing with you from my current point of knowledge, which can be more because there's more to come, but it's also, hey, looking back and say, I have something to share with you, no? Which I'm doing. So it's a fine balance, but having the humility to be aware and to acknowledge that we're always still learning. Yeah. And that it's okay to make mistakes. We cannot block ourselves from learning something because we're scared of making mistakes. We need to have the capacity to try things out, keep on failing, and being okay with making mistakes, getting back up again, and forgiving ourselves and forgiving other people in the process. Because making mistakes also means either getting in conflict or tension or messing up with someone. Yeah, it's okay. We're here to learn with each other. So, humility. Integrity. Integrity is when our thoughts, our beliefs, our words, and actions align. So you don't just say something, you back it with action. You know, that's somebody who modeled this for me. I love it when people say, hey, I'm going to say this, and I mean it. Yeah. Or when we feel something, we express it. And we feel the disintegrity inside. Now there's like a wobble. If we basically lie, there's like and we've all been there. I mean, no? It's okay. But it's a matter of sensing that within us when we're out of integrity, when we're acting out of alignment, and realigning ourselves. So, for example, start with myself. You know, I want to eat healthier, but I have a habit of drinking coffee and eating bread first thing in the morning. I'm not saying it's necessarily that bad, but I know I could do better. I know I could nourish my body better. So I'm not being very integral in that sense, no? But I'm aware of it. I'm slowly shifting things. Yeah. You know, in all of our aspects, in all of our life aspects, we can constantly improve. But again, it's about showing up and being as conscious as possible. That's really what we're aiming for. No? And catching ourselves when we're out of integrity, out of alignment. Skill, yeah. Nurturing our skills, learning skills that help us improve, that we know are good for us. So whether it's a physical skill, a mental skill, a skill that helps us be of service, yeah. So ask yourself, what skills can you develop? Mental and physical strength. I would say mental strength even supersedes physical strength. I might change my mind later, but for now I feel that one is really, it supersedes, because to have a clear mind, to be able to discern your thoughts, to be able not to panic or to lose ourselves in negative spiraling or projections, or that's really a skill. And how do we cultivate that? Meditation. Why meditation? I mean, there's so many reasons, but first of all, in meditation, we come into the observer mode. We cultivate a space between our thoughts and our internal dialogue and our identification. No? There's some space in between, so we can choose. We become the observer. We observe the thoughts. We don't judge. We just observe them. So that space allows for a greater capacity to make conscious choice. And scientifically, meditation also literally heals the brain. So many studies out there. It's a practice. Wisdom. Wisdom comes from experience, from integrated experience. So from an attitude, taking the attitude that everything serves us, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If we can come from a perspective that we can take a lesson out of everything, we will. And taking an approach to life that labeling things as good and bad is not so useful sometimes, because look at your life. aren't it the painful experiences that really shaped you in a impactful way, looking back? Of course, the joyful times are great, but aren't the joyful times joyful because of the dark times and the pain and the suffering? So is the suffering and the pain really bad in that sense? Doesn't it serve its own purpose? So taking away labels and really appreciating all of our life experiences to serve us is a useful attitude. So coming from that positive mindset, now that, hey, whatever I'm experiencing, I can make use of it, is useful. And knowing that, really learning from experiences, that's how we forge our own wisdom. And wisdom is embodied truth. It's not what somebody else says. You can't regurgitate wisdom. It's something that you've experienced. Only then does it become your own wisdom. And yeah, your deeply personal truth may become universal truth, because we do go through, archaic experiences that are shared, that make us human. No? In our human experiences, we go through certain things that link us with others. But the way you process, integrate, and then express your own truth and your own wisdom is uniquely yours. So we need your wisdom processing. That's what a spiritual warrior does. Next one, extreme accountability. So there's no finger pointing. There's no excuses. There's no blaming other people or circumstances. We take complete accountability for where we are in life. Why? Because it brings the power back to us. So you either accept change, surrender, no? But if we blame circumstance and other people, there is no accountability, there is no choice making involved. Yeah. Perseverance. When the going gets tough, we persevere. We don't just throw the towel. And it's a tough one. Yeah. Perseverance, I feel, is easier to cultivate if we know our why we're doing things. We can suffer through things or sacrifice, make things sacred if we know what the point of it is, no? Otherwise, it's pure masochism, and we don't want that. Forgiveness, we've spoke about this before. It basically has to do with liberating yourself. We don't want to carry unnecessary baggage, emotional baggage. So forgiving yourself for mistakes, forgiving another person is a liberating practice. Otherwise, we're chained to the past. We're chained to certain emotions that keep us looping. And we don't want that. We want to be clear vessels as much as possible. A spiritual warrior has substance. If we practice all of this, we're going to be beings of substance. So looking beyond the superficial, beyond distractions, beyond illusions, beyond things that don't serve us. That will make us a being of substance, looking deeper, self-reflecting, reflecting in general, observing, meditating. Someone willing to protect the weaker in society. Yeah, so we're cultivating ourselves, not for the sake of fighting per se. Like actually, a physical fight would be the last thing, no? We want to avoid that as much as possible, but still have the ability to protect ourselves if it really comes down to it. But protecting from our point of power, not abusing that power, whether it's spiritual power or physical power, whatever power, with that comes the responsibility, to protect maybe those who can't protect themselves. So, for example, I'll share with you one of my projects that I'm setting up and that I will invite you to. I thought about giving my Kundalini yoga classes, but having that come from a win-win situation. So Kundalini yoga itself is great for whoever practices it. So, for example, if you come as a student, it will benefit you. It will benefit me, what I'm doing. Yeah. But I want to integrate that and sponsor a local beehive, a local bee maker. So it's also benefiting the local community here and specifically the bee community. So it's a win-win-win situation, and it's helping protect the bee colonies because we need bees. No? They're the ones pollinating everything, and that's why we have crops and all the beautiful harvest. There's other benefits I'm still going to research, but the bees themselves, okay, they can sting, but how easily can we just get rid of them, whether it's with pesticides or whatever we use, or we uproot or destroy the environment? So a spiritual warrior protects whatever needs protection. And do your own research, which communities, whether it's animal or human communities, could do with some protection in some way or form. Yeah. A spiritual warrior has a sense of loyalty and a sense of duty, and it becomes transpersonal. So it goes beyond, we're talking here about humanity. So going beyond even a national identity to a transpersonal, a transnational sense of duty to humanity here. Spiritual warrior is resourceful. So a common excuse that we have, and I've been there, is, again, the not enough. I'm not skilled enough. I don't have the resources. I don't have the money. I need more to get started. Do you really? I could make the excuse here that I don't have enough video equipment to get this thing rolling, but I thought I have a computer and I can record and have my voice. Let that be good enough to get the ball rolling of Mel's Magic Official, and here we are. So being discerning with your own excuses that might delay things. It's okay if you're conscious about it, but really becoming aware of that. Where are we holding ourselves back from taking action from the heart that could benefit others? And let's face it now, we're never going to be in a perfect situation away from troubles or away from whatever challenges we're going through. But we're always in the position to help despite of our own situation. So where can we come from that giving? The Creator gives. Come into that consciousness where, hey, I am whole and holy regardless of my circumstances. And there's always one way of sharing or giving or helping somebody. Even if it's just your smile. Start like super basic. Or the way you speak to somebody. You never know how your words can affect somebody. The power of your words. So let's bring it back to super basic. Yeah. Then spiritual warrior, is able to do harm with your words. Oh, I guess if you're training a martial art or whatever you're doing. But true power lies in the ability. There is an ability to do harm, but you choose consciously not to. That's where power lies. If you're from the get-go not able to do any harm, and you're not doing any harm, then that's not real power because you don't have the power anyway. But if you are capable, actually you have a certain amount of power and you don't use it for harm, you use it for good, that is real power. Because it takes the power not to go down into the darkness. You see the darkness, you're aware of the darkness within you, but you choose to act from the light. That's powerful. And that's something to respect. And knowing your own darkness is a whole other episode. I'm not one to shun the darkness either, because in the shadow we find a lot of our vitality and our passion and our vigor for life, our creativity too. Going back to our list, the practice of nonviolence. I saw a beautiful documentary I highly recommend, which I bookmarked it. It's called Move When the Spirit Says Move. And it's about the legacy of Dorothy Foreman Cotton, who is basically the one next to, I get these blank moments, next to, oh gosh, it's gonna come again. The main male figure of the Black civil rights movement. I have a dream. Come on. It's just there. In any case, she was the one organizing the movement by educating the people about their civil rights. Yeah. So she practiced nonviolence. She embodied what she wanted to see in the world. Gandhi is another example, no? But the practice of nonviolence. We create this new earth by embodying it. We speak a lot about embodiment. So being the living symbol of this new earth, the new human being. So we embody. My ideal would be love, peace, joy, happiness. Love, happiness, joy, peace, bliss, and fulfillment. And coming from that embodiment, how do I act? Yeah. So practicing what we preach, what we align ourselves to, and knowing that really, love is such a powerful force. If you come together, it's a uniting force, no? Love integrates, fear fragments. But love is so much more powerful in the big sense. We're talking about the big love here. Love is a frequency. It's so, so, so powerful. So how can we practice nonviolence at the same time practicing our skills and embody what we're on about? How can we do that? We have conviction. So it's really believing what you're doing, believing in yourself, not just second guessing, we can only really stand behind things if we're convinced of what we're doing, of our why. Why is this important? And it's confidence, it doesn't have to be this boastful confidence. It can be a quiet confidence and conviction. You don't need to convince people. You don't need to convert people about your opinions, whatever. There's a tolerance against others, but you're deeply rooted in your own truth. You know why you're doing things. Spiritual warrior is respectful. Respectful, everything starts with yourself. You respect yourself. Then you respect others. Reliable goes back to accountability, no? Let's try and put action behind our words, or only commit to things where there's a full yes. And I'm guilty of that. I get sometimes so excited about things that I overcommit, and then I got to backtrack because there's only so much energy to go around, no? And that's okay. But to refine that process, next time, not say yes, agad, enseguida, but take a step back and really reassess, can I take this on, or am I spreading myself too thin? That makes us more reliable. We're committed. I don't think people can respect us if we're like wishy-washy and can't commit to anything. Commitment is the freedom to choose what you truly believe in. So commitment it means constraint in a constructive way, because we gotta focus our energy onto something, no? So that takes commitment. It's a voluntary thing. And it amplifies our freedom. Because when we commit to something, we see things grow, no? Whether it's our skill or a cause or a relationship or a family, whatever you commit to, it will grow because you pour into it, no? Acceptance of, I can't read my writing. of help and solutions. So we're not doing this on our own. We gotta assess ourselves. Okay, what are my strengths and where do I need help? We delegate. We're doing it as a team. And knowing we're not perfect in everything. We have blind spots. So, and it's okay to have weaknesses. So whatever your strength is, you're gonna have some area in your life where you're not as strong, and that's okay. But that's when we ask for support or for help. Yeah, knowing where our weak spots are and asking for help. You're worthy of support. A spiritual warrior is resilient and self-renewing in terms of self-regard. So resilience is we keep on going, no? And we stand back up after hardship or failure, we stand back up. A self-renewing self-regard, it means we don't depend on validation from others, and that's a big thing, no? We validate ourselves, and ultimately we look for validation from Mahadev, Big Boss. Like, that's where you can get your real conviction, your faith, and your confidence with faith, acting from faith. That's where it really comes from, no? The ultimate source, being connected to that. Because if we outsource our motivation or our ambition or our willingness to act from whatever everybody else is saying or the approval from others, we're just hall of mirrors, no? We're not going to get anywhere. So grounding a clear sense of purpose and identity in ourselves, knowing our why, and resourcing ourselves with source, really, in that sense, prayer, no? Resourcing ourselves, connecting with the infinite source to give us strength, to give us faith, to give us any of those values that we want to cultivate, the strength to cultivate them, we go to source, Mahadev. Yeah, infinitely giving source. And when we are resourced, we're less likely to outsource that energy or whatever it is from other people. We become less manipulative because we stand in our own, we're like charging straight up to the real battery instead of like plugging into other people and then taking from them, from their energy field. That's very important. We talked about aggressiveness as a non-destructive but active energy, taking a stance towards life. Arousing energy and organizing energy takes a certain aggressiveness. Yeah, that's part of the list here. I'm seeing we're already at 30 minutes, so I'm recording a few episodes on this topic because I really feel it's helping me. And there are beautiful concepts, values, virtues to explore. Of course, after going through all of this, the question is, how do we actually really cultivate that? Bring it down to earth, being integral, no? Not just on an abstract, theoretical level. We really want to embody this. So we can go into that. But for now, that is my list. And maybe I'll record another one. I want to keep it kind of bite-size. Bite-size episodes here. But let me know if and how any of this resonates with you. And yeah, stay tuned, guys. We are exploring the embodiment of a spiritual warrior. Charles and I are right here. See you in the next episode. Ciao, bandidos.